All right, today we're going to unlock a Japanese phrase that is honestly a secret weapon in conversation. It's one of those expressions that seems super simple at first glance, but it packs a surprising amount of power. Let's dive in.
So, have you ever been in that spot where you want to show you're interested in something, but you don't want to come on too strong? You're trying to say, hey, I'm curious, not, I'm about to start a full-blown investigation. It's a tricky line to walk, right? Well, Japanese has the perfect phrase for exactly this.
Okay, so the phrase is chotto気になる, and you say it like this, chotto気になる. Now, if you just plug that into a translator, you're going to get something like, it's a little bit on my mind. But, and this is a big but, if you stick with that literal meaning, you are missing about 90% of the magic of this phrase.
And that leads us right into the core of this whole thing. The huge gap between what this phrase literally says and what it actually means in the real world. This is where all the good stuff is, right in that nuance.
So on one hand, yeah, the literal meaning can even suggest something is bothering you, kind of negative, right? But in everyday life, nobody's using it that way. It's all about saying things like, I'm kind of curious, or, ooh, that looks interesting. It's just a really gentle, subtle way to show you're intrigued.
So, this is the key takeaway. You have to make a mental switch. When you hear chotto気になる, just completely erase the idea of being bothered. Instead, think intrigued. It's all about a little spark of curiosity, not some big annoyance. That is the absolute heart of it.
Okay, so that's the theory. But theory is one thing, right? What does this actually sound like out in the wild? Let's jump into a couple of super common, everyday scenarios so you can really see it in action.
Okay, picture this. You're hanging out with a friend and they whip out their phone and they're like, oh, you have to see this. They show you a picture of this brand new cafe that just opened. You know the type, it looks super cool, has a great vibe. Your perfect, natural response? Just say, chotto気になる. Chotto気になる. See what you did there? You're not making a huge promise to go. You're not declaring your undying love for the cafe. You're just saying, oh, that looks interesting, or I'm curious about that place. It's casual, it's cool, and it keeps the conversation going effortlessly. Let's try another one. This time, you're just kicking back, scrolling through your social media feed, and boom, an ad pops up for a new gadget or maybe a piece of clothing, and it actually catches your eye.
As you kind of pause your scrolling to look at it, you might think to yourself, これちょっと気になるな. これちょっと気になるな. That little na at the end makes it sound a bit more thoughtful, like you're musing to yourself. It perfectly captures that feeling of, I'm kind of intrigued by this. What is this thing? Once again, just low-pressure curiosity.
So, we've seen the what and the how, but the really fascinating part for me is the why. Why is this one little phrase so common and so useful in Japan? Let's peel back that layer.
It really all boils down to the art of being subtle in communication. First off, it lets you show you're interested without putting any pressure on anyone. That's huge. It also fits right in with a communication style that generally prefers to soft and really strong, direct emotions. So instead of a bold, I really want that, you get a much gentler, I'm intrigued by that. It's the perfect tool for low-stakes conversation. It just opens the door for more discussion, but doesn't demand that you walk through it. All right, let's bring it all home and make sure this really sticks. We've gone over the meaning and the context. Now it's time to take this from something you just understand to something you can actually use. So you ready to give it a shot? Come on. The best way to really learn it is to say it out loud. Let's do it together. Okay, here we go. Chotto気になる. Let's do it one more time. Chotto気になる. Excellent. That's the one. That's the phrase you want to have ready to go whenever something catches your eye. This phrase is just a perfect example of how the real soul of a language is so often found in the nuance, not just in the dictionary definition. It really gets me thinking. What other phrases do you know in any language where the real-world meaning is just worlds away from its literal translation? It's a pretty fascinating reminder of what makes learning a new language so rewarding.